Hey, it's Matt Moscona. You found it. It's AFR Saints, your home for daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Please subscribe, smash the like button, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. And our content this football season is presented by BetUS. Score a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000 when you use the promo code YouTube150. Enjoy the video. Who dat? We'll meet Kellen Moore on Thursday when he's introduced to the media. A guy who already knows him, Brooks Kubena, spent this year covering the Eagles for The Athletic. You can get him on Twitter, X, at @BKubena. Of course, was previously at The Advocate. Worked right here in Houston, where we are today, now in Philly. Brooks, good to chat, man. How are you?
Man, I've been sleeping on and off for the last 36 hours, so you caught me while I'm cognizant.
Glad to hear that, man. That's, I guess, our gain. We timed this out pretty well. Hey, give me a reaction to, like, first thought, Kellen Moore taking the Saints job. First reaction.
Yeah, I mean, this is expected. The Saints were holding out to get a chance to interview him, and by that point, he was their top choice. And by last week, it was a given that he was going there. So it's interesting for him to get in there, be a head coach after 3 times as an offensive coordinator. It's his time. Just navigated just an excellent offense and really a different way of doing it in his career. Obviously, the talent pool will be different. There's a different expectation for this team immediately, but Kellen Moore's earned the opportunity. It'll be interesting to see.
Tell us, I mean, 1 year there, but tell us about Kellen Moore. Like, if someone asked you to describe him personally, professionally, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to hit a bunch of decibels when he talks, but that doesn't mean he's quiet. During the times that we've gotten a chance to interact, he's not someone in week to week that will delve deeply into his scheme, but you can tell that he understands it. But behind the scenes, when you get a chance to hear about him from players, whenever they played the Cowboys for the first time, I did a deeper story talking to pretty much every assistant coach who had either coached him with the Cowboys or coached with him with the Cowboys. And the thing that I was really trying to figure out, kind of helps towards understanding as a head coach, is, well, what kind of coach is he? How does he motivate? How does he connect with players? And the thing that kept coming out was he's not the guy that's going to stand in the middle and give a big speech. How he connects to a player is going up to him and saying, hey, what do you want to run? Like, what do you like? What works for you? And by getting them invested in the play and what's happening on the field, gets them excited to be a part of it. That stems back to his Boise State days, drawing up trick plays and the like, just having fun playing football. And that showed in the way that they played throughout this year. I mean, they ran the ball more than any Eagles team has since 1978. And that's only because in a meaningless Week 18 game, they chucked the ball, else it's been 1951. That is definitely not Kellen Moore. And it made moot any study I did in the offseason what he did with the Cowboys. But they didn't have Saquon Barkley or this offensive line, or, by week 4, this was a team still trying to figure itself out offensively. And then, again, Moore, someone who goes to his players and listens, this wasn't just happening in direct relation to Kellen Moore. It's happening to the whole coaching staff. But guys like Lane Johnson, the right tackle, and Landon Dickerson, the left guard, were speaking up. Why are we not handing the ball to Saquon this much? Why are we not running the ball? We need to run the ball. And coming out of that bye week, they leaned really heavily into it. And a lot of that had to do with what Moore was able to do throughout that time and finding spots where Barkley fit and where the passing game fit. It was different week to week. So, that's the main gist of what Moore showed throughout the year and his growth as a coach. And I think really why he earns a head coach opportunity at this point.
We'll get right back to the video, but did you know that BetUS also has a casino? For all of our followers here, if you like slots or live casino dealers, you can take advantage of BetUS amazing sign-up bonuses. 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 or 250% for crypto sign-up bonus up to $5,000 as well. Discover the BetUS Casino Playground. Maybe you're a slots enthusiast. BetUS, they've got the games to raise your pulse. You can test your skills with timeless classics. You can also explore the newest, hottest slots and feel that casino buzz with BetUS live dealer tables. Y'all take advantage of this great special. Sign up now. Get 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 and 250% sign-up bonus up in crypto up to $5,000. So get ready for a rush with the BetUS Casino generous promotions and tournaments that make every play more rewarding. Sign up right now and experience the difference. Get your bonus, 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 and 250% crypto sign-up bonus also up to $5,000. Now, enjoy the rest of the video.
Yeah, Brooks Kubena is our guest. It's funny when you look back at how the season started for the Eagles at 2-2, and I mean Sirianni's jawing with fans, and you think about how it ends. That feels like a completely different reality. But how much of that about face do you credit with Kellen Moore?
Well, I don't know how much I'd put it. I'll just say it was not an easy position to jump into. I mean, from the collapse of 2023 coming in, and Nick Sirianni, who had just been to the Super Bowl beforehand, there was a quote he said immediately after that first Super Bowl loss, and it was he promoted Brian Johnson and basically said, we're doing everything the same. This offense is going to be the same. It's what got us to the Super Bowl. The way we run zone reads are going to be the same. The way we do our passing is going to be the same. Just because they lost Shane Steichen to the Colts wouldn't mean that their offense was going to look any different. Well, by the end of the season, defenses had figured them out. The San Francisco 49ers thrashed them, and Bosa came out and said, "We've got the playbook. We put out the blueprint for everyone else," and they leaned into it. So, Nick Sirianni was humbled a bit by that, and also still felt very certain that he knew what he was doing offensively. There were a lot of things that they did well. So, the offensive coordinator that came in was going to have to deal with a collaboration setting. It was not going to be somebody who needed to be a hothead and step their foot down and have a lot of ego. That kind of clash was not going to work. And Kellen Moore, he doesn't give in. I'm not saying falls into it, but he knows how to work with people and collaborate and come up with different ideas even than he'd done. So that whole offseason, I was talking to Kevin Patullo, the passing game coordinator, about Kellen, and basically they were like, it was like a month or two of a coaching clinic. They just sat there and said, here's what I've learned. What do you know? What do you think? And that was before they even got Saquon Barkley, and then they added him to the equation, and they said, well, what can we do? I remember talking to Nick Sirianni about that, and he's like, well, I remember we were checking through all the things that we were talking about, and you're like, all right, what can work here? What can work here? Really not much. There's not much Saquon Barkley can't do. Yeah. So really opening up the playbook at that point, it took a certain kind of person to do that. And 3 years ago, before they hired Nick Sirianni, Kellen Moore actually interviewed for the head coaching position. And Jeffrey Lurie remembered that the other day as we were talking to him. He said, just an incredibly nice guy, knew that about him, and lamented, the night before he left the Saints, was like, yeah, we're going to be losing him, but it's a great coach at a great time. So everybody felt that way about him. So, going into the Saints situation where there's going to be some tough things to happen, a patient person who's going to be able to work through all that, those are things that are part of his personality that really fit well for the situation, I think.
Brooks, you mentioned Kevin Patullo, by the way. That's one of the names we've heard that could be joining Kellen Moore in New Orleans. We've heard Doug Nussmeier as well. Any scuttle from your side of the equation, assistants who Kellen Moore might be interested in bringing to New Orleans?
I think he'll only get two. I think he'll get Doug Nussmeier to come with him, and then also Kyle Valera. Those were the two that he brought with him from the Chargers. And, I've talked to Nick Sirianni about this sometimes, and he said it on the record too. He is very encouraging for all of his coaches to go get head coaching jobs, but once they do, you're not taking any of my guys. He locks down his staff. That's something that he carried over from working with Frank Reich. Frank Reich had the same deal. Support, go get you a job, but these are my guys. This is the success we've had. So I don't think he's going to get anybody that was a part of the staff before he got there. I think Nussmeier has been his guy, and I think Sirianni will realize that. And Kevin Patullo has been Sirianni's guy back to the Colts days together, even before that. So Kevin Patullo, I think, is going to be in line to be the offensive coordinator. That brings up another conversation, but that would mean there's two other positions left on the offensive staff for Sirianni to fill. I think for in terms of what the Saints are concerned about, Kellen Moore's been working in the business for a decade now, 3 different places, 3 different teams. Just because he's not taking more than 2 guys off the Eagles staff does not mean he doesn't have a major Rolodex that he can go call up people. And again, this is not going to be the same offensive system he runs. So it's not like they're going to go and, run the ball a bunch of times, or maybe they do, or different ways. So the system that they'll run, he'll be thinking about that as he dives into all the contacts that he's built over the past decade.
Yeah, he doesn't get to take Saquon or A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith or any of those guys, does he? I mean, that would probably help.
I don't think that's in the contract, but that would be a good deal for him.
But that is a big part of it, though, Brooks. Like, how much of the success that, like, this is the balance, right? How much of the success that the Eagles had this year was Kellen Moore? How much of it was, oh, my God, look at all the talent? Like, balance that scale for me.
Well, it's tough. It's tough to separate it. I mean, Saquon Barkley is obviously the greatest running back the Eagles have ever had. So what you wonder about when you look at it, you try to piece it apart, is like, okay, well, what happens whenever this gets taken away? Barkley did not have a big game against the Chiefs.
Right.
They decided they were going to take him out of the game. And I was expecting if that to happen, what would happen with Jalen Hurts? Is he going to be a dual threat runner? Are they going to try to get him going in the zone read? Even whenever Barkley was taken away, I saw things that Kellen Moore had not done all year, running fullback packages and trying to get Barkley in the flats. Those were gaining like 4 or 5 yard chunks. But that was things, just get the ball to Barkley in space. That's Kellen Moore when I see that. You look at the game like the Cleveland Browns in Week 6 when they were still trying to figure things out offensively. So that was another game that Saquon Barkley was not doing very well. But what did work? Well, they were playing a lot of man coverage, a lot of matching on that. And whenever you see a major play, Devontae Smith on a mesh route, basically a pick route in the open field, there he goes for a 45-yard touchdown, the consequential score that wins them the game. That's Kellen Moore. So, like, it's a cliche to hear coaches say, well, you players make plays and you got to fit the scheme to the players. But that's, those examples are where that becomes reality. And yes, they have an incredibly great roster. And, I'm thinking back to the times we talked about LSU when Joe Brady was there and all the first-round picks that came out of that team. Well, what do you do after that? So, it's always going to be different. I don't expect them to have, obviously, Super Bowl success in the first season with Moore, but you've seen him make multiple different things happen with the guys he's got. And, this is a team that's going to have assets, maybe not this year, but in the future years. And, it's not going to be I don't think it'll be a one-and-done situation with Kellen Moore, not with this kind of expectation. But I think you've seen a lot of creativity from him. He doesn't lack that.
He's Brooks Kubena, covering the Eagles now for The Athletic. Y'all get him on X at @BKubena, of course, formerly of The Advocate. We got to know him during his time in Baton Rouge. Follow him there on Twitter. Hey, man, great to chat. Sorry I missed you in NOLA last week, man, but glad you're doing well, and we appreciate a couple of minutes today.
Hey, same goes. Anytime.
Thanks so much for watching the video. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, hit the bell so you're notified when we post a new video, and remember to support BetUS, where right now you can get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use that promo code YouTube150.